Hello. So, this is Alan here. I want to talk about classical agile learning. That's what I talk about mostly. Let me close the window so you can hear what I'm saying. I will try to speak clearly and loudly so you can hear me, because I am in a car and there will be some noise of an engine behind in the background. So, anyway, I want to talk about classical agile learning. I'm doing some classical agile learning with my kids right now. And I'll just say it again, I said it in previous videos, but I'm in a car and from time to time, it's August now and it's quite sunny in Ireland. So from time to time you get a lot of sun on my face or a shade in my face, but you won't see me. So that might be, for some people that's a bonus, and for others not. So, but from time to time you're not going to see me. Now, I want to talk about classical agile learning. I'm doing some classical agile learning with my kids, and what I want to do with some of these videos is I want to map out just some of the classical agile learning that I'm doing. Now, the whole point of classical agile learning is that it's about getting in touch with your inner voice. So I want you to teach your kids based on what you are. So, because it's all about connection. It's all about connection. It's all about who you are on a deep level. So if you're a communist, maybe you wanted to talk about some principles around that. What is it about that's important to you? If you're a capitalist, same thing. Free market guy. If you're a libertarian, whatever. But I want you to put some of you into your kids, because the problem with the current education system is that, and that doesn't mean to the exclusion of other things. Let me just say. So I want you to teach them the principles and why you're excited about something. If you think redistribution is a good thing, why? Why do you think redistribution is a good thing? And have you read anything about that? And have you studied? Have you watched YouTube videos about that? And so share those kind of things with your kids and do some classical agile learning around them. And that doesn't mean exclude other things. I think in order to build an intelligent, critical thinking child, they've got to see both sides. And they may not agree with you as well. You've got to take that as a possibility. Now, kids are connected to their parents and they want to make them happy, and they feel that connection with the parents. So they may just, if you like Man United, they may like Man United. It's just the way it is. Or maybe they'll go the opposite direction. But and this isn't Man United versus another football team, because it's more about deciding. It's more about critical thinking, looking at facts and facts and outcomes and results, and scientifically deciding, or philosophically deciding what you do believe and who you are. It's about finding out who you are, and it's about your kids finding out who they are. So you should begin with giving them some things that you believe in. So and the reason I came onto that is I'm going to map out some of the things that I'm doing now. I have certain beliefs, and my beliefs aren't your beliefs. So whatever I map out is really just to give you some idea of what I'm doing. And it's supposed to be kind of a blueprint, but certainly not anything. It's not a curriculum. I am not some faceless bureaucrat in the Department of Education writing out a curriculum that everyone has to follow. That's the problem with the current education system. It's certainly not what I want to recreate. I am given some blueprints of how to build a house. And I want you to take those blueprints and say, well, I don't like a big garden, I like a small garden. And I say this in every video, but I look over my shoulder. I have to look over my shoulder in the car. When I'm in Ireland, so we're driving the left-hand side, and when I am overtaking on the motorway, I have to go into the right-hand side lane. Now, in order to do that, I have to look over my shoulder. It looks really funny when I do it. Maybe it doesn't look funny anymore. Just some previous videos I looked at, it looked quite funny. But maybe it doesn't anymore. Who knows? Maybe I'm doing it a different way now. But I will, from time to time, have to look over my shoulder. So if that amuses you, great. If it doesn't, okay. Ignore that last 5 minutes of explanation. Now, classical agile learning. So I'm creating a blueprint, but it's not a blueprint of an exact house to build. It's more of a blueprint of overall how to build a house. And so what I want you to do is take this blueprint and say, oh, I don't like that size garden, I much like a much smaller garden. He has 2 bathrooms, I want 5 bathrooms because we just like have lots of big bathrooms or whatever. So you're going to change it based on who you are. And I don't know who you are, so I can't tell you, but you're going to change it based on that. And maybe you don't know who you are. But this whole process should help you and your kids learn who they are. And another thing you can do around that, which is not my area of expertise, it's my area of expertise as far as doing it, meditation. I do meditation myself once or twice a week. In certain periods of my life I was doing it 5 days a week or 7 days a week, and I go through periods of my life where I don't do it at all. So you can get periods like right now I'm doing a degree and I'm also working full time, and I have some projects also I'm working on. I'm also doing this, so that's difficult to find time. But in fairness though, I do still meditate, whether if you include, I think, walking in the woods and on your own, I will include as meditation, depending on how you do it. But meditation is just getting in touch with your inner self, and there's various ways of doing it. You can lie down in the bed and ignore your thoughts. That's one way of doing it. You can sit up and ignore your thoughts, but you can also get in touch with your inner thoughts. Particularly if you've meditated for a while, I think walking in the woods on your own and getting in touch with your inner thoughts is a form of meditation as well. I would certainly include it. I'm just saying that now. No one's ever said to me this is a form of meditation, but it has the same vibe to me. So anyway, I am going to map out. Let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about, shall we? I'm going to map out. I'm almost at my destination. 7 minutes. I'm almost at my destination. So I'm going to map out some of the things I do with my kids around classical agile learning. Now, some of the things I'm going to do are, one of the things the latest thing that I've been doing is property rights. And I also want to do, because I believe property rights are really, really important. In the Western world, property rights are what has made the Western world what it is. And so I'm going through property rights, and I did a really simple thing with them. My youngest is 6 years old, so you don't want to make it hugely complex for them. But I'm just doing a simple. I found a great. I'll link to it. Found a great Stefan Molyneux video. Property rights in 10 minutes, brilliant. And so I'm doing that with them, and I also did the Fibonacci sequence. That was a previous thing I did. Because I think that's very, very important, and I'll create links to all these if anyone wants to do them, and I'll also create links. I'll try to upload some of the work that my kids have done around it. What you do is you get them to do a mind map around what they have got out of what they're watching, and there's lots of good software for mind maps. I use Real-Time Board, which is brilliant, but there is a cost to Real-Time Board. It's €10 a month, but it's a great system to use, and it's also you can also do your Agile board on it, but you don't necessarily need that. You can use pen and paper. You can use a whiteboard. I bought a €20 whiteboard in Leeds, which is an artist shop, but I'm sure that all over the world you can probably get €20 or €30 or $1 whiteboards, and just to hang up on the wall, But I have a space. I've built a space in my back garden for doing this, like an office space, and so everybody doesn't have that. But so you might not be able to put a board on the wall. But Real-Time Board is certainly one you can use, which is €10 and a month, and it works really, really well. But there's also lots of free options as well. So yeah, the previous one I did was the Fibonacci sequence. And the next one I want to do, which I'm really excited about, is the Brehon laws. I think the Brehon laws, they're Irish laws before the wars with England, and they were about 1,000 years ago, roughly. And we would have had the Brehon laws, and they're very, very interesting. I'm just going to open the window for a second. I'm not on the motorway anymore. the very, very interesting laws. It was the closest idea that you could describe it to today would be like a libertarian society or an anarchist society. There was no government as we know it today. There was no laws around having licenses. There was no licenses. No concept of a license. You didn't need a license to fish or license to drive or license to have a Wi-Fi internet company. So anytime there's a license, you just know there's corruption somewhere. A license just means corruption. It's the same thing. So, and the other thing about the Brehon laws is there was no criminal law. No criminal law, it was all civil. So, and there was rules around violence and because in the libertarian or anarchist society, the rules are basically you keep your word, you keep your contracts, you don't attack anybody, those kind of things, and it was pretty much the same for the Brehon laws to a large extent. Now I need to study them even more than I have already, and I have studied them a little bit with my kids, and that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be spending some time on the Brehon laws and breaking them down into sections, because it's there's a lot in it, and the other thing about the Brehon laws is I like with the classical Agile learning, I like to find because with most things you almost can, I like to find a YouTube video, Netflix video, a Netflix program, I guess you would call it, or even just Wikipedia or web pages or blogs or whatever. You can usually find stuff around that now, but particularly I like to use a YouTube video because you can consume it quickly. It's great with the kids as well because you can let them watch 15 seconds of a video. You can stop the video and then say what happened, what did they say, and what does that mean, and then you can move on. But it's a very, very they're all used to watching YouTube videos. I'm sure every child has watched a YouTube video, they know what it is, but they haven't watched it in a way where they're going to watch it and think about it and retain the information. When you're watching Jake Paul or some guy playing Minecraft, you're doing it for a just kind of junk candy, which is fine. Kids need a bit of junk every now and again, but they also need some nourishment too. And what I'm saying is classical Agile learning is the nourishment of YouTube or Netflix or whatever it happens to be. So your video, let's say it's a 10-minute video, I could spend half an hour going through half of that 10-minute video with my kids, half an hour, and I don't believe it. How is that possible? Oh, again, that's actually impossible. I don't believe it. No, well, it gives me an extra few minutes to talk to you guys anyway, so there's no spaces again. What's going on? There's always spaces. I think they closed one of the car parks. So, let me just reverse out of here, guys, and just make sure I'm not driving into any people. Now, no spaces again. That's life, I suppose. Go out to the other place, and that's my favourite parking space. Car parking area. Yeah, that's a good run around here. So, yeah, it's interesting about the Brehon laws because I'm going to sit down and go through it with the kids and break it down. And YouTube videos are the best ways to do it. And the whole point of class Agile learning is it's the exact opposite. It's the education system turned upside down. Because what the education system is, it systematically teaches kids not to think, to rely on authority. So what it does is, an authority that you never meet, a faceless bureaucrat, which you will never meet, you will never know what they look like, you will never talk to them. They will not, and more importantly, they will not talk to you, so they don't know who you are on any level. And they're going to create a curriculum that's the same curriculum for like 1 million kids. 1 million kids are going to do this curriculum. and they're all going to do exactly the same one, no matter how unique they happen to be. They're all going to do exactly the same curriculum, and they're all going to be, and they can't really question it much. Everything's taught as facts as well, so everything's taught as a fact. So there's no, like, even with evolution and dinosaurs, it's the most area of science. Let's say dinosaurs, and carbon dating and all that. It's an area of science that is it's very young, as far as they could find out. Now, they could find out in 5 years that the way they've been doing carbon dating is wrong. That carbon actually deteriorates at different rates. They could find that out. They're just saying how long does it take carbon to deteriorate, and let's extrapolate that over millions of years. And they could find out that, well, it first deteriorates really, really quickly, and then as it gets later in life, it deteriorates much slower. And they'll turn around and go, okay, everything we said was wrong. And that's okay. It's okay to take a look at things, and you can find out things are wrong. Like the whole carb issue was like, carbs are good for you, carbs are good for you, carbs are good for you. Oh, we're wrong, carbs are bad for you. So you can't eat eggs. Eggs will kill you, eggs will kill you. Oh, we're wrong. Eggs are, people who eat eggs live much longer. And all the car parks are full today. So science can be wrong, and you've got to distinguish between a scientist and the scientific method, which are very, very different things. So the way it works today is, and I'm going off on a tangent. Am I going off on a tangent? It'll just finish this a little bit. So the way it works today is that a science, it'll say, well, a scientist has said this, so it's true, and that's okay. But it doesn't make it true because the scientist said it. Now, that's different between a scientist and the scientific method. Because the scientific method, if people understand the scientific method, then they can test the theory themselves, and that's a lot more reliable, scientific method, than just relying on a person is a scientist, so we believe what he says. It's science because a scientist said it, not necessarily. It's science because it stands up to the scientific method. And that's another thing, actually, that I want to teach my kids, the scientific method. That's really important. Today, everyone will know everything about every football match, and they'll be able to say, well, this manager is wrong. He should have bought this player. He should have spent this much on this player. And they're experts. But why can't they be experts in the scientific method and say, well, no, this scientist is wrong? Because men and women are like what happened with that Google guy. Can't remember his name, who said that, well, let's question this. Is it correct that men and women are exactly the same, and should we have discriminatory practices in Google to help women? And he was lambasted for it, but he's a guy who knows how to question. He knows how to ask a few questions, and we should all be able to ask a few questions. And maybe he's wrong. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that if he's wrong, then you don't just come out and say, oh, he's evil. That's just showing that you can't think. You come out and say, listen, we've taken a look at his evidence, we've read it, and we have decided that it doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. Now, that's fine. Still wouldn't sack the guy. I would still say, we appreciate having intelligent people in Google who will ask these kind of questions. And we've decided to put him in this other area where he can explore these topics. But we have gone through his data, and it doesn't stand up because X, Y, and Z. That would be I would say, yeah, great. There's a great discussion just went on, and but just to come out and go racist, misogynist, why do you hate all women? It's just so it just shows what our education system is. And this guy, he educated himself, because he was in college and school, blah blah, but he didn't do programming in school or college. He educated himself. So that's the difference between people who are educating themselves and the people who have gone through the school system. There are certain people who will just go their own route, educate themselves, and they're much harder to control. So they're the kind of people I want to create. People that can't be controlled. That's what I want your kids to be.